boy. Miss you. Don't forget me, okay? I won't forget you. Love your mom for me, okay? I really love you, boy. I believe in you. You can do it. You can be free.
Randolph, you ever see him jump that high?
Things can happen.
These are the Orqa FPV.One Race goggles. Yeah, FPV.One. Why are the FPV.Ones newer than the Pilot? I thought Pilot meant literally the first, but somehow one is greater than Pilot even though one is one. I don't know. I don't know what you're doing, Orqa. It's confusing. And they are absolutely beautiful. And even more than beautiful, they feel great in your hands. When you handle these goggles, they just feel like a premium product. It's still plastic, it's still pleather on the inside, there's still a spongy, flimsy, floppity strap hanging off of them, but somehow they just make it feel really good in your hand. There are little plastic port covers on these, there's plenty of room for a module like a rapid fire on the left side. They've got nice buttons on the top. We'll talk about those a little bit more later. They're kind of a deal breaker for me, spoiler. But everything is just really well constructed about these goggles. Even down to the way the air vents in from the fan, which by the way is really quiet, through these little side grills. So it just comes right over your eyeballs and dries them up faster than the Sahara Desert. But that's a good thing when it comes to FPV, because we don't want our goggles to fog. And it also keeps the lenses from fogging. Along with giving you chronic dry eye, it keeps the lenses from fogging, which is the benefit here. And the styling is just like anything else as far as goggles go in FPV. I mean, we've got the DJI goggles, we've got the Fat Shark style HDO goggles, and we've got the Skyzones, which kind of model after what Fat Shark has done. But these stand alone. They're really angular, they come to a point at the front. They just look good. They're just good looking goggles. They've got a nice 533 logo on the front. It lights up. It's really awesome. They've got a nice logo. Orqa, congratulations, your logo is actually really good. Everything about these just feels premium. When you get down into the IPD sliders, they feel great in your thumbs. They're not too loose, but they're also not too stiff. It's just that right amount to give you the feel that it's really well thought out and constructed. Same goes for the focusing dials on these, and the focus goes from negative to +4, by the way, which doesn't cut it if you're blind as a bat like I am and have a prescription over -6. But for me, everything is just blurry all the time, even if it is in focus. With these Orqas, I can get diopters to correct that, which makes the flying experience a little bit better. The stock strap isn't good, but it's not bad either. It's the normal spandexy, stretchy thing that eventually will wear out and you'll have to get a new one. And it does Velcro onto this rather than go into any like D slots, which would be a little bit more secure. I guess it's more of what the DJI goggles are doing with their strap mounting. But what makes this particular pair of goggles special is that they are the race version. Because they're a collaboration with 533, they're specifically designed for racing, and that means a smaller field of view, and that smaller field of view means smaller screens. And bigger isn't always better, right? That's just what we're going to keep telling ourselves. But when it comes to racing, that may actually be true. A smaller field of view allows you to see more of the screen without moving your eyeballs around in your head. So you can see the gates, you can get through them, and you don't have to spend as much time moving your eyes around like you would on something with a bigger field of view. The field of view in these goggles is 33 degrees, which is the narrowest field of view I have ever experienced in a pair of FPV goggles. But it wasn't bad because the screens are actually amazing in these goggles. The OLED panels they are using, even though they are small, and that does cut the cost down just a little bit, they are beautiful. They have tons of color depth. They are very crisp and clear. It just added this whole dimension to my FPV experience with the OLEDs and the colors and the contrast. It was just amazing. Now I normally fly on the Skyzone 04L, which is an LCOS screen, and I set these two side by side so you can kind of see what some flight footage looks like. This is DVR played back from my HDZero VRX, and I have the camera the exact same distance from the eyepieces in these goggles in both these shots. Now before you go down to the comments and you just harass me for the way the footage looks in the Skyzone side of this picture, I know that it has some weird stripe things going on, and no, it's not a zebra. It's definitely not a zebra, although it could be a zebra, and if it was a zebra it would try to nibble on your fingers, but it's not a zebra. What's actually happening is just the refresh rate of the screens is lining up somehow with the 60 frames that I'm shooting this in, and it's making this weird rolling thing happen. And that doesn't happen over on the Orcas because they're driving the panels differently. They're OLEDs. So yeah, don't slay me in the comments for this. Just accept it. Move on. Accept it and move on and be happy with your life. And you can see side by side that clearly the 33 degree field of view in the Orcas is smaller than what I have in my 04Ls. But when it comes to racing, that may be exactly what you want. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at these things. Disarm. If you don't already know what's coming, skip ahead to this timestamp. Just do it. Trust me, just skip ahead to the timestamp. You don't want to see what's coming next. It is embarrassing for everybody. Just skip right ahead to the timestamp on your screen. If you don't, remember, I warned you. Yeah, I know, it's that part of the video that nobody likes, where I'm going to talk about the crazy people that give me some of their money every month for some unknown reason. I don't know what kind of illness they have in the brain, but there's something there that makes them just want to give a crazy person in the internet some of their hard-earned money. All I ever wanted was a like, or maybe a sub, just to please the algorithmic overlords on YouTube, but rather than do that, their insanity has driven them to give me actual money every month, and for that, I'm going to shame them here, right in the middle of the video, by putting their names on Bacon and speaking them in some weird electronic reverb. Well, now that that's over, I just want to say I am actually super grateful for everything you do to support me. I still can't believe that anybody wants to support my crazy little corner of the YouTube webs, but for some reason, you do, and you do it so well, and I just can't thank you enough for that. Now back to the content. But now let me break your heart and tell you why I will never buy these particular goggles, the race version or the normal version. And that is because I fly HDZero, and that requires VRX hanging on the front. And we all like to add random crap hanging on our goggles because we're FPV pilots and we're crazy like that. But when you put random crap hanging on the front of these goggles, you have a really hard time because it's angular. And there's these 3 mounting holes, and that's cool and all, except for no VRX is designed to hang there. There's no VRX that takes the shape of that spot. They're all flat on the back, which means they don't line up with that weird random angular thing, and they just kind of dangle there like some rotted cherry, and they look stupid. They just look stupid, and it's really difficult to get anything on there to stay, and then you've got to connect it to something. Now Orqa has come up with this proprietary port in the front, and I know why it's there. It's a brilliant idea. Whatever you plug in there drives the panels in the goggles directly, so you get the highest low latency, you get the lowest latency possible, but nothing plugs into it currently. And Orqa has not come out with their digital system yet, which is slated to be able to utilize this port, however it does not currently exist. So all of us in the real world flying digital systems like HDZero, and probably pretty soon Walksnail when they come out with a VRX, are going to have to do this over HDMI. Well, some poor person over at Orqa decided to put a micro HDMI in these goggles rather than a mini HDMI like every other goggle I've ever touched. And let me just show you how this makes you look. It makes me look like an idiot. I look like an idiot right now, don't I? I have this cable dangling on my face. The goggles look cool as hell, but I have this cable hanging right around here near my earlobe, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I've got my cool little antennas popping up because I'm an FPV pilot and we all like antennae on our foreheads. But there's nothing I can do about this crazy cable nightmare and this precarious dangling VRX in front of my awesome, and I mean awesome, these are awesome, looking goggles. I look stupid right now. I look so stupid I want to kick my own ass. I look like a transformer that grew up under power lines and ate too many paint chips, and then got somewhat slow and grew up to try out for the Autobots, but wound up working for the Decepticons. I understand they make other cables that are capable of this, but currently no manufacturer makes the correct length of cable with 90 degrees on both ends to accomplish this setup. And you can go on Amazon and find a ton of mini to micro HDMI cables, but they're all going to be really long. They're going to have randomly angled connectors. Maybe one's a 90, maybe it's not. Or they're going to be these flat ribbon cable things. And these flat ribbon cable things, they catch fire. And that disappoints me so much because there was so many things that I wanted to love about these goggles. The design looks so futuristic. The menu system is great. The compatibility for features in the future is terrific. You can add a module to connect this to different things and live stream and control it. All kinds of awesome things that are possible with these goggles, along with the awesome frosty look that they have. But in the long run, I just couldn't deal with the connectivity for an HD system in these goggles. And a lot of racers do use HDZero, so there are a lot of people standing out on a race line that look like that Decepticon I just showed you. But if you don't mind looking like a middle schooler's Wi-Fi router, and you think you might be into a small field of view for your flight style or racing in particular, then outside of that, these goggles are wonderful. I didn't get a chance to use the DVR. I hear great things about it. The ergonomics are good. The buttons could be a little more tactile. They're kind of hard to find, but you do most things with the joysticks, and those are fairly easy to find. They do run on 6S batteries, and they look great. Inside and out, the optics are terrific. There's no complaints I have about these goggles from a technical level. It is just that connectivity that kills it for me. I don't want to have to deal with this weird cable hanging out of my face to accomplish my HD video. But definitely let me know in the comments below if you are running Orqa goggles, if you're running the ones or the pilots, or maybe even these One Race goggles from 533. I would say it's probably a much smaller subset of the Orqa goggle market, but they are just beautiful and wonderful goggles all around if you can deal with. Anyway, that's all I got on these goggles. Thank you so much for checking it out and hanging in there. Maybe someday Orqa will be able to free Willy. I'm gonna keep holding out. I love their designs. Maybe someone will come up with more VRXs that fit in that awesome little port they have, or maybe someone will just design and sell a cable that actually fits for this connectivity option. But until then, stay greasy, and I'll catch you later. I look stupid right now. I look so stupid I want to kick my own ass.